Okay, good evening, everybody. We're joined tonight by Arizona Wildcats head coach Adia Barnes, as well as fifth-year student athletes Kate Reese and Shayna Pellington. A few reminders before we open it up. We're going to start with an opening statement from Coach and then open it up for questions for the student athletes only. After you're done with that and we dismiss them, then we'll open it up for questions for Coach Barnes. Please wait for the microphone before you ask your question. Also announce your name and your news outlet, as well as who your question is directed to before you ask your question. Also, please refrain from any video recording of this press conference. The video will be available at ncaa.veritone.com. That's ncaa.veritone.com. And finally, we also have a Zoom press conference open, and we'll be taking questions via that as well. If you're on the Zoom, please use the raise hand tool to indicate your desire to ask a question. With that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Coach Barnes, for an opening statement.
I'd like to start off by saying, Maryland's a really good team. I want to give them all the credit. They outplayed us, especially in the first couple minutes of the game and in the third quarter, and made some things really difficult for us. They're a good team, so, it's things that at times they wanted it a little bit more and just made some plays. They're at home, so you should do that. I think I'm proud of our team. I think that, we came in here, we know it's going to be tough on the road, at a home site. I thought we battled. We didn't start off the game. I think we were really nervous and tight. And then we battled, played great defense, and went into the half feeling good. Then the third quarter happened. So I just have to learn from that. We can't go through those lulls and get those runs and win games, especially on the road. So, best of luck to Maryland moving forward.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions for Kate and Shayna.
PJ Brown, Arizona Daily Star. This is for both of you. It's your last game as a Wildcat, and you both left it all on the court today. You both battled really hard. What is this like knowing that, it's the end of the road for you just as a Wildcat right now?
It's been a great 5 years. I don't even know how to feel right now. Sad, but happy for all I was able to accomplish at Arizona with my teammates, with Adia. Unfortunately, only one team wins at the end, and we just weren't that team.
To build off of what Kate said, I was a transfer from Oklahoma, came from a tough situation, and Adia was one of the ones that took a chance on me, and it's something I'm going to forever be grateful for. I feel like I developed a lot as a player, but most importantly as a person, and I do owe that to Adia and the coaching staff and just the environment in Tucson. And I do want to say thank you for everybody that was patient with me and encouraged my progress, and that's something that I'm never going to forget. And this might be the end of our collegiate careers with U of A, but I don't think we're always going to be family, so I think that's something that I'm always going to hold dear to my heart, so yeah.
Okay. One quick reminder, if you could just make sure you address the player specifically when you ask your question. Thank you.
Hey, Kareem Copeland from the Washington Post. Kate, you guys worked so hard in that second quarter to go into halftime with that lead. From your perspective, what kind of flipped in that third quarter?
I think we got a little maybe too comfortable. I don't know. We just, in that moment, starting out in the third quarter, we just didn't want it more. They took it to us, and we just kind of fell back on our heels, I felt like. We weren't hitting shots. We were 3 for 15 in the third quarter, so I think that really just killed us, and it gave them confidence to just kind of attack any one of us, and the third quarter really hurt us.
For Kate, Dylan Manfrey, Testudo Times. 5 years in college for you, and on this team, I'm wondering who has been the biggest inspiration for you over these 5 years and helped motivate you over the course of your collegiate career.
I mean, most importantly, I think my dad, he's always been there. It's definitely one thing I would say is tough love. But he always raised the bar for me. Even when I had a good game, he wanted better for me. I think I've had the opportunity to play with two great point guards here at Arizona, Ari and Shayna. And, I think it's been great. I think they've really helped to develop me. They've pushed me. They've always asked for the best out of me. And so I really appreciate that. I think Adia, the coaching staff, they've always wanted the best for me. They're always there for me. And I think that just, I've always had the support I needed.
Gave you her hoop stats. This is for Shayna and Kate. I've noticed you guys call Coach Barnes Adia, and that's not something that's normal in most programs. I just wanted to know, especially from Shayna coming from a different program, how has that coach-player relationship differed from the relationships you've had in the past with other coaches?
I think it's really important to have that kind of relationship with, Adia. I mean, yeah, we call her by her first name because, we have that kind of a relationship with her, she's more than just our coach. We see her as a person, and she sees us as a person. So, we address each other by each other's names because that's who we are, And, yeah, that's something that I've learned to really value and appreciate coming from a different institution where things were much different, and then coming here, it's like a breath of fresh air, and I do encourage any player that's looking to get into college to really look into that, because it does make all the difference in having that relationship and having that connection with your head coach as a player, so it can make or break your career, having a relationship with your coach. So that's something I've really appreciated being here.
I think it's funny whenever I go into interviews, I always debate in my head if I'm going to call her Coach Barnes or Adia.
I didn't pay attention to that. That's funny. You said that.
But
oh, yeah, you're right.
Coach Barnes never sounds right, so I always normally go with Adia. But yeah, I mean, it's just the culture that, we have at Arizona. Like, we see her as a person. She's not just our coach. And I think that, like Shayna said, that's one of the most important relationships to build. I mean, you're around your coach 24/7, so being able to bond on a different level, not just player and coach, is important.
For Kate, Sam Jane, Terrapin Sports Central. I was just wondering, early on, it seemed like Maryland was fronting you a lot, kind of had someone behind as well as like a shade defender. You obviously still managed to pull out 19 points, but it seemed like they tried to just limit your post touches. What did you see from them defensive coverage-wise, and how tough was it to get established early on?
I think it was kind of difficult for the guards to pass it in because they were nervous about the person shadowing behind me. I think, off of rotations and skip passes was the better way to get the ball in. I think they did a good job in the second half of attacking too and, bringing it to them, not just kind of trying to force it in the paint. So I think their game plan was just to sag in, pack the paint, make it difficult for the post to score. So I think they did a good job, unfortunately for us.
Matt Trucknoy with Herb FM Sports Radio, and this is for Shayna and Kate. So unfortunately, the journey is over with Arizona, but just tell me what both of you have learned throughout the journey as both a student athlete, both on and off the court.
I mean, I've learned so much, me and Kate both got the luxury of being a part of the final, getting to the championship game in the national championship not too long ago. So, from going to that, and having that kind of experience, that's something that not very many people get to have that experience, And again, just to go back to what I was saying before, I feel like being here, I've learned so much about being, a basketball player, and as well, figuring myself out as a person, what I like, what I dislike. And I feel like, again, I'm so appreciative that I got the opportunity to be here because I can take those tools that I learned and apply it to my life after this, whatever that looks like. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, I learned how to be an adult. I mean, you come in at 17, 18 years old. I had no idea. It's so embarrassing. My freshman year, I told them I didn't know how to do laundry. I didn't know how to do laundry when I got here. I didn't know how to do a lot of stuff. My sister also went to the University of Arizona, so I've always had her. And, like, being the baby of my family, I always kind of learned to lean on other people. So she's always been there for me, one of my biggest supporters at every single game. So she was mad she couldn't come here. But I think I've learned so much as a player, as an athlete. I learned how to be a leader. I watched Ari, be a great leader and then be able to kind of step in that position myself the past couple of years. I learned how to be mentally tough, getting over injuries. Last year was extremely hard. I think, I'll be able to cherish, my 5 years at Arizona for the rest of my life. But I don't think the chapter is necessarily over for basketball for Shayna or I. Obviously, we have a future ahead of us. We want to go play pro. We want to, go overseas, whatever it is. So I think that, our chapter ends here with Arizona, but obviously we're alum. We're going to always be around Arizona, come back when we can. But, yeah, I mean, we grew up here.
And this is for both Shayna and Kate. In the last 2 games, you've seen Paris Clark do pretty incredible things on the court. The other day, she had 7 rebounds. And today she spurred on that, helped both of you spur on that run you had in the second quarter. What do you see from Paris, and what do you think in this moment, and what do you think her future is here at Arizona?
I mean, I think the sky is the limit for Paris. I mean, yeah, you're right. She came in and she gave us a fire that we desperately needed, and that's something special. Not a lot of players can do that, especially as a freshman. So I think that is something that's really amazing about her, and I feel like, like I said, the sky's the limit for her and her development as a player. She's phenomenal, and I'm excited to, as an alum, I guess, follow along with her journey because she's going to be a special player.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree with Shayna more. I think, Paris is a competitor. She's a great person, but yeah, there's so much basketball ahead of her. I mean, as a freshman, she has a motor. I mean, even in practice, she's so competitive. Sometimes, she's picking up her team. So I think it's great. As her mom would say, PP Swish. She's gonna be mad I said that, but that's her little nickname. And I'm super proud of her and how she's been able to grow as a basketball player here. I think we saw it in spurts. I mean, the Utah game, she helped us not win that game, but she helped us get back in that game. And I think today she never gave up. So I'm super proud of her. I'm happy for her and can't wait to see what she does in the future.
Okay, we're going to let Kate and Shayna get back to the locker room. The locker room is open if you have further questions for any of the Arizona student athletes. But thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And taking my cue from the student athletes, we'll open it up for questions for Adia. We'll go with himself first. Gotcha.
Hey, Coach. Ian Decker, the Dimeback. Diamond Miller had a pretty strong second quarter. Can you just talk about what you saw from her today? She was a little bit quiet in the first, and then the second, she really helped kind of galvanize that run.
I mean, it looked like she was probably challenged at halftime, and she came out and just was on fire. Really hard for us to guard. I think that we kind of allowed her to get out in transition and have a lot of isolation moments, and we know she loves to go left. And then she started going right and scored. I think she was just hard to stop. Diamond's a great player. She's versatile. She's long. She's athletic. She's a gamer. She's an All-American. I mean, I coached her at USA Basketball, and we won a gold together. So I was very familiar with her, and she poses a difficult matchup. So I think she was just a handful for us. And really, it looks like to me that probably Brenda, got into her at halftime and challenged her because she came out like a different player in the second half, and that was clearly evident.
So, Adia, in that second quarter, or the end of the first, you called a timeout, and I was able to sort of see into the. And I saw you making adjustments. What were the adjustments that you made at that point that helped your team go on a run?
There were some things defensively that we weren't really doing. I saw the way we started the game. Didn't really have a sense of urgency defensively and was having a hard time getting stops. We knew one of the keys coming to the game was we had to slow Maryland down in transition. And I felt like the first couple minutes, it was like we were timid on offense and then we weren't getting back on defense. And that wasn't the game plan. So just had to adjust, change some lineups and, go for a run. Played smaller, really successful being small, and just gave them easy ways to get the ball inside. So we knew that Maryland switches, 1 through 5. And so we were isolating and trying to get certain people in the switches, especially Pinson in the first half. And then when there was heavy help on the help side, we were skipping it and trying to go inside. And then third quarter, they brought her in off the bench to get more shooters on the floor. So that was the counter. But, I thought that we did some good things, but we just couldn't get our offense going. And, I on the road, I said it before, you can't start off a game, shooting 23%. And allowing a team to shoot 57% and then do the same thing again in the third quarter. And, that was my concern at halftime was, going back with the lineup that had just ended the game or going back. But I was trying to see if we can get Jade going because I knew we needed some other shooters on the floor and just gave a couple minutes. But I think we had a rough third quarter again. So that was unfortunate.
Excuse me. Hey there, Kareem Copeland, Washington Post. You kind of touched on it a little bit there. I want to ask about what is the challenge slowing them down in transition? Because in that third quarter, it seemed like they were running off makes and misses.
Yeah, they were getting the ball in really fast, before we could even kind of set up our press and just getting up the floor really fast. And I think that we knew that they do that, so we were prepared for that. I thought we handled that better in the second quarter. And I think third quarter just wasn't on point, wasn't matching up, and then just not guarding them in half court. And things that are kind of uncharacteristic for us. We guard an on ball a certain way. We're pretty strategic and organized in what we do, and just a lack of discipline on some things. There's certain actions, like on a shooter, we weren't going under a screen. I saw multiple times we go under, we give up a 3. So they made us pay for every mistake, and those are mistakes we can't make because of these games are possession, then you get down by 20. So I thought that we didn't have discipline and a sense of urgency in that third quarter. And I don't know why. I think that just maybe us not being able to get the stops, we lost a little bit of confidence. But things we were supposed to be trapping. When we trapped later, we turned them over. We know that Diamond Miller coming off of an on ball, we should trap. We know that we were capable of turning her over, and we just never trapped, or we went under screens, and that's not what we do. So I think those things they paid for. We're not supposed to ever help off the strong side. Well, we did. We give up a 3. So those are, I think, mistakes that come from lack of experience in certain players. And like Paris, she's a freshman. She's going to make those mistakes. But putting her in these situations, it helps us for the future. But it doesn't help you win games in the interim because you lose games from stuff like that.
Hey, Coach. Dylan Murphy, Testudo Times. Curious on how Kate Reese handled mismatches in the post. I mean, at times she was the tallest player on the court, matching against Faith Masonis, Shai Sellers, I think even Aliza was on her a little bit. Just curious about how you work with her to really handle mismatches when she sees them. And also,
sorry, go ahead.
No, and I'm just curious as well about when Shai got her second foul, how you think the momentum shifted, kind of in your favor there, second quarter.
So when Shai got another foul, that was a good thing for us. I was like, that's good. She's another tough matchup. She's long, she's athletic. She goes to the rim really hard. She pushes the ball in transition. So when I wasn't mad about her getting another foul. I would have liked a couple more. So her out of the game is good. They're long and athletic. So while they don't have size inside, they have a lot of size on the perimeter. Because Diamond's really a 3, but she's playing the 4. So those are hard matchups. Her and Sellers are hard to match up with. I thought Shayna could give pressure, but I felt like at times we weren't pressuring her when Shayna should really pressure her. I thought Kate inside, we were strategic and had a good game plan to post her up. And we knew that a key to the game was pounding the ball inside because we know that Maryland switches everything. So we strategically put it so Pinsan was going to be on the mismatch. And I thought Kate handled it well. I thought they put a lot of bodies, and then we didn't hit shots, or we didn't drive it after skip passes. We didn't drive it baseline. We'd go back to the middle, and so there's challenges for us. I think, when we have more of a defensive lineup in, then there's really a lot of congestion in the paint. When we have more of an offensive lineup in, then we have tough matchups against Diamond, Miller, and Sellers, and that's just the challenge of our team that we have to work through. But I thought Kate did a good job. I thought she battled. I thought she gave effort on both ends. I mean, she played 35 minutes, and being the primary scorer, I think it says a lot. I thought she was getting body a lot in the first half, and I said, don't flop that much, because we need you in transition, because when you flop on the floor, we don't have you in transition. But she fought and wanted to win and played hard. We just needed other people to step up. I think Lauren stepped up, but we needed other people to make shots. So, and that's kind of how it goes. And I also know as a coach, like when you're a player and you're coming in 2 minutes and you get a couple shots and then you don't make them, you come out. I know that's hard as a player. But as a coach, you can't wait 5 minutes because then you're down 15. So that's the balance, and that's why you have to try to coach. And, I thought that they just outplayed us at certain points in the game. Yeah.
Gaby Ream, her hoop stats. So Coach asked your players about calling you Adia, and you said you didn't even notice
That's
it.
funny.
Yeah, like how have you developed that relationship such that you don't even have to tell them
Well, it's
what
funny
to call you?
because I don't have an ego like that. I don't really care. I think people call me all different things, but I don't really even pay attention because it's like so insignificant to me. I'm not someone that's, oh, you have to call me Coach Barnes. That's not even my married name. I haven't changed my name yet. I don't even think about it really because I don't care. So it's funny. I didn't even really realize it till you said it, and it is true. But I think when they're introducing me, they'll say Coach, or they'll just say Coach. So I've never actually given them a name that they have to call me. So for me, it wasn't even a big deal. It's funny that you noticed that. For me, I don't care. I'm never gonna say, "Oh, you have to call me Coach," because I don't. They usually say Coach, but like referring to me, sometimes they'll say Adia. It doesn't really. I don't really care. I don't know. I'm not old school, so probably if I was old school, I don't think I ever called my. It's funny. It's funny that you say that because to this day, my college coach, I call her Coach B. And she hasn't coached me in like 20 years. That's just the thing. I don't know why. I think back then you couldn't call your coach their name. But for me, it's not a big deal.
Coach, Terrapin Sports Central, Sam Jane. I was just wondering, you talked about it, like the skip passes, because they were obviously trapping and fronting Kate. How much of it, in the first and third quarter, it felt like those were their two, best defensive quarters. How much of it do you think was maybe they were more set in their defensive principles and things among that nature? And how big was it for you guys to hit a couple corner threes or shots to kind of maybe bring them out of that a little bit?
Well, for us, we're at our best when we're getting stops and we're able to run. So we were killing them at times in transition. They couldn't guard our transition, but if you're not getting stops and you're not getting steals, you're not running in transition. So I thought that because we weren't getting stops and they were scoring at 78%, I don't think we've ever allowed a team to score 78% in a quarter. But that's rough because we weren't able to run. So we're then going against their press every time, which slowed us down, and that made it difficult for us. So we really had to play better defense and turn them over like we were doing before and stick to that. And without doing that, it was going to be hard because they like to score really fast, and we couldn't let it be just a track meet. And I thought that at times, I thought we could have crashed a lot harder. We never had two people on the boards because they leak out so much. I felt like if we had a little bit bigger presence inside, I think it would have been a little easier. But yeah, if you give any team, any top team and a team like Maryland, a great team like Maryland, if you allow them to, in the first quarter, shoot 57% and in the third quarter shoot 78%, you're not going to win a game. You're not going to win. So we're lucky we didn't get beat by 30 with that. So can't do that.
Okay, final question.
Okay, so it's the final games of their game of their careers for Kate and Shayna. What can you say about the careers and what they've meant to U of A basketball?
They've both meant so much. Shayna, I did take a chance on Shayna, and I'm happy I did. I think everybody deserves a second chance, and I think everybody goes through different things. And like I'm the right coach for some people, I'm not the right coach for everybody. So I think that now you're going to see more movement and every player is not the right player for me, trust me. I'm realizing that now with the portal. So I think that, taking a chance on Shayna wasn't hard. I actually went to go meet her during the process and sat with her. And there were certain things that I didn't care about or I didn't, care about as a player and or as a coach. And so I just accepted Shayna for who she was and the good and the bad and the ugly. And I can tell you that Shayna changed tremendously in the years we had her. She did probably give me some gray hair that I probably have from Shayna for sure. But I love her heart. I love her work ethic. I love the person that she's become and the leader that she's become. And it's gratifying for me to see the change. And just to see her, the way she speaks and the way she embraced her teammates and to watch her change and grow, that's a good feeling for me. And I think that, I saw her happy the last couple of years. She wasn't happy when she first came. She didn't love basketball. So I think she found her passion back. And so as a coach, I'm happy to say that. And she's getting a degree, so she was not going to be on my clock and not get a degree. So she did that, and I think she accomplished a lot of things. She has a lot of basketball ahead of her, and I think that she's ready to play now. You could see her game evolved. So for me, the basketball is you should get better. You're going to play more games, like we can coach. But I think the more important thing is, are you changing as a young woman? You should come to Arizona one way, and you should leave better. And if not, I didn't do my job. And to me, that's in every way. That's sitting at the interviews. That's the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. And we value those things, and I value those things. So when you can come in a certain way and you leave better, then I feel like I did my job, and you get a degree, and you can represent yourself, at a high level and you're a good person. I think that's meaningful for me as a coach. And then Kate took a chance on Arizona when we were awful. We were probably 300 in the RPI. We weren't a winning program. I'm sure she scratched her head when she watched us win 6 games that year. But she decided to come at Arizona, and she wanted to do something special with us, and she's done that. And she built the program with us. She's meaningful. She learned to lead. She learned how to do laundry and stuff. I'm proud of her. But just to watch that maturity, she did not do anything. Her mom still does a lot. But just to watch her grow as a woman, and she got into business school, and she just carried herself well. She's a great student. Just the way she role modeled our program, it's really. I'm really happy to see it and watch that and be a part of both of their lives. And they do have a lot of basketball, and it could be in the WNBA, it could be overseas, but whoever is going to get these two is getting a good person, great people, and great basketball players, and someone that will be good leaders on and off the court. So, yeah, I'm just happy I was able to coach them.
Thank you very much for
Thanks,
your time.
you guys. Thank you.